we go again.
I'm thrilled we escaped that one. And really give DePaul credit. You know, they're hard to guard for us. They were in Chicago, and we had to escape. And they were in the second half tonight. Also, their ball pressure defensively really rattled us. And we couldn't get much in the second half, the combination of both. I'm very proud of my team. I mean, given everything they did Saturday night, to be on the ropes again and dig out another one, it's really as big a win as Saturday when you can turn around and dig one out when it doesn't look good at times. But we certainly have been in that situation a few times when we came into the huddle. We've been there, done that, sitting there getting ready to play in overtime.
At what point do you see maybe the energy kind of dip and manufacture something to
Yeah, you know, we certainly we used a lot of guys in the first half. Second half, we kind of felt we had to go with our key guys. You know, I think Eric was tired. He needed a rest in the second half at a key time. Usually I haven't had to take him out. And, you know, Jaron, I think, was exhausted. I think what helped us was, just like we did the other night against Louisville, we started feeding the post and not ball screening as much because they really were guarding our ball screen. So throwing it into Jack like we were throwing it into Sherm kind of gave us a different look. We drew some fouls. They helped on Jack. We skipped it over the top for a jump shot to Pat. That helped us score enough to escape.
How bad was Pat?
You know, he was pretty sore the last 2 days, but I knew he'd play when I saw him Monday. There's not a tougher guy out, and you know, athlete at this school. He's a tough dude. So he will not have to sweat again until layup lines at Providence. We'll just rest him till then. And some other guys, we're back to needing some rest here almost for 2 days.
You mentioned the biggest win Saturday. Do you almost need to back up what happened Saturday with the win tonight just for confidence's sake?
Yeah. Well, we talked about, you know, being able to flush it mentally, and I thought we did, really. I mean, we were playing well, and you looked like you were going to get some breathing room, but just like in Chicago, they can score. And they hit some shots on us. You know, we probably stalled offensively, made some bad decisions with the ball. 15 turnovers is a little high, and that was their defense. I don't think it was our bad decisions. That was them athletically guarding us. But it would have been deflating not to get this one tonight. You know, there's no question about it. And I was worried. I've been worried about it for 3 days, and you know, I guess it's not going to ever really be easy for us in this league.
Coach, was it almost like a Big East tourney or NCAA tourney feel in the sense of let's just survive in advance after what you've been through this week?
You know, I'm in that mode all the time in the Big East, survive in advance. Somebody said, well, you're going to rest Connaughton for Wednesday and save him for the weekend? I said, what? I said, I need all my guys in this league. I mean, our margin for error is, as you've seen, it's like this. We need all hands on deck. And so everything is survive in advance. You know, that's why we were burning one time. We'll do whatever we need to do to get a league win. I don't care if it's against a team that's 8-2 or 2-8. Just do what you got to do to get a league win.
When you lose a big lead like that, how do you keep them focused on, okay, you know, we still got to win?
Yeah, one of the things I think they were really frustrated. And there was more frustration than Saturday night. And I just kind of said, you know, we can't dwell on it. We're in game situations now, all right? So let's just flush it and, you know, relax, man. Yeah, you threw the ball away. You made a mistake. Man, that's a bad shot. You screwed up on defense. Here's where we're at right now. Let's just try and figure out how to escape with a win. I thought we got composed before the overtime pretty good. Like, okay. And quite frankly, like Saturday, we were probably fortunate we were in overtime, you know, again. So we'll take that.
Mike, on Saturday, it seemed like you watched and visibly enjoyed the overtime and you're having a good time with it. Tonight, though, was it the same sort of mentality, a different sense of?
I tried to kick into that gear when I saw how frustrated we were at getting into the timeout, you know, going, you know, into the timeout before the overtime. It was my theme was, we've been here before. Let's do it again. What the heck? Not like, oh my God, we had a 12-point lead. You know, our guys were already, you know, making facial expressions about missed free throws, or somebody thought he got fouled on a shot, or, you know, like, we don't have time for that. So it was like, fellas, we've been here before. Let's have fun with it again. What the heck?
You talked about Pat. How was the?
Then I had my fingers crossed behind my back.
How was the group physically over the last couple of days?
Yeah, we're you know, we did a good job Sunday and Monday of getting our energy back. We had good energy in practice, and again, our energy was good. You know, it was good. It had to be good to win tonight. We were guarding, and you know, but I think what we have to do is, you know, these days in between. Luckily, with a veteran team, it's not like we need a lot of reps, you know, in practice right now. And it's February. It's now keeping guys fresh, trying not to get anybody hurt. And the worst thing is to get a guy hurt in practice right now. So tomorrow will be more of a mental day and get some rest. And Friday, we may be on the practice floor 45 minutes, and we probably won't we may not have any contact. Maybe 5-on-0, walk through some stuff, shoot, and get to Providence and, you know, try and have a lot of juices flowing by noon on. But I think we have a good feel how to pace our guys, you know, through it.
It's a tough point to get this two-game stretch after having 2 overtime games, this 2-game road.
You know, I think for us, I hope it's a confidence builder for us that we just scratched out 2 dogfights and to expect game situations on the road on Saturday, and let's see if we can figure out a way. We've been pretty good in these overtime ones lately, you know, so let's get it to game situations, and we'll take that.
Mike, what is that 7 straight 20 win season?
I'm really proud of that, Dave. You know, for our program to have that I think that's really a, you know, I think that's really a sign of our consistency in our program. And I talked with the staff even in the preseason. I said, you know, we get to that, to have 7 in a row and have the record. That's something I'm really proud of. You know, I think it just says, I think it's been kind of machine-like consistency, quite frankly. You know, us doing our job over here, and certainly we aspire to do more things in March. But man, you gotta grind this thing in January and February, especially. And I really like how we've done that. Yeah, I heard Syracuse lost, huh? So here we, you know, I mean, when we lost 3 out of 4 and Martin went down, the regular season title was the furthest thing from my mind, and I don't even want to think about that right now because, you know, we're just now double bye. I will think about that a little bit because that ain't bad. We're kind of in that territory.
Has Jared become your go-to guy,
Sure.
so to speak, by design, or is that just?
No, I think we've always put the ball in his hand at key times, and I thought tonight he started the game looking to shoot it behind ball screens and not be too unselfish, even though he had 9 assists. But we need him to shoot it. When he came off that ball screen across from the DePaul bench, they went under, and he shot it behind it. I've been trying to get him to do that for 3 years. You know, he needs to shoot it some instead of always going in there and trying to make plays. But he's a key guy to go to. What's interesting the last 2 games is at crunch time, we went back to feeding the post, Garrick and Jack, and that gave us some good stuff. And we weren't doing that earlier in the year. I think that's another way of us down the stretch getting stuff.
I think he had an open shot with like 7 seconds to go on regulation. You want him taking that?
Yeah, well, you know, he kind of, you know, that wasn't a great one. He pulled up his dribble and he forced it, and he thought he got fouled. But you know what? They're not going to reward a bad basketball play. I told him, I said, that's a bad basketball play. Unless the guy just tackles you, they're not going to call a foul there. I thought he could have shot it quicker. He kind of picked up his dribble and he shot fake. Now, he is the guy that made 3 unbelievably crazy shots the other night. So I guess I got to live with a guy pump faking 4 times and shooting over a 6'8" guy.
Mike, you mentioned a lot of things DePaul does well, and they played you really tough both times. Why aren't they better? Do you have any sense of it?
Well, you know, I mean, I think for them, they've been so close. And it reminds me of our group when we lost 7 in a row a couple years ago. You know, it's hard to get over that hump. You almost need a little help to get one in one of these. And that year, we looked over our shoulder at the end. And both games against us, man, they got us on the ropes. We fortunately got a couple stops, made some plays. You need a little help. You need a little luck to turn it. We got a little luck at the end of that year and turned it and had a nice little run to get to the NIT. And you need some of that because they can guard you physically and athletically, and they can score the ball. And so they make for, you know, it's a trick. For us, it's a tough matchup.
Like, how nice is it after 7 years to finally have that overtime karma change and go your way?
Yeah, that's been good. I mean, we've been on a good run lately with it. You know, we mentioned that in the coaches. We mentioned that a little bit in there. That's something I'm really proud of, and probably really good guard play. We've had some really good guards through these overtime games that have made really good decisions. but we'll take it. I mean, you know, it's a fine line. We're 8-4 with a very fine line, and I think that's how we'll live the rest of the way. That's just who we are.
We could talk a lot about this crowd, the energy. It seemed like tonight that was so much case, especially with a lot of it.
I feel like going into the dorms and chasing some of my students down, some of our students down. I thought we deserved a little more from our Legion given the show we gave them Saturday night. Having said that, the group we had here tonight, the crowd we had was really good and gave us energy just like the other night and some defensive stops down there. But we got 2 home games left. We need, you know, for Cincy and St. John's, we're going to need our crowd. We need our 6 man. It really does help us.